How today's choices become tomorrow's legacy. How today's choices become tomorrow's legacy. Choice in time. How to act in real time, with urgency, but without anxiety, with presence, but without paralysis. There is a paradox at the center of much personal development work. It creates clarity about who you want to be, but it doesn't fully prepare you to act accordingly in the moment that matters. It's easy to be the person you want to be in retrospect. In calm analysis, days later, when you have distance. It's much harder to be that person in real time. When you're tired, when you're under pressure, when the emotion is strong, when the other person is reacting in a way you didn't expect. Life happens in real time. The bridge between the two is what this episode explores. Acting with intention in real time is not about eliminating automatic reactions. It's about developing the ability to be aware that it's happening and to choose your response, even if only for a fraction of a second. Do you know exactly what you want to do, but in the real moment, you do something else? What happens between knowing and doing? Self-knowledge is primarily developed in slow motion, in reflection, in therapy, in reading, in slow conversations about what happened. But life, and especially the situations that most activate inherited patterns, happens in real time, with all the speed and pressure that real time brings. Under stress, under intense emotion, under extreme fatigue, the system reverts to automatic. Not out of weakness, but for efficiency. The nervous system prioritizes speed over precision when it perceives a threat. And the inherited pattern is always the fastest, because it has more practice. This explains the phenomenon that many people describe. I know exactly what I should have done, but in the moment, I couldn't. The knowing exists in slow motion. The action happened in real time. They are different records. The bridge between the two, the ability to bring some of the slow motion into real time, is what researchers in emotional regulation and mindfulness call the window of tolerance. The ability to remain within a state of activation that allows both feeling what is happening and thinking about what is happening. Practice 1. Somatic recognition. The body is faster than thought at detecting that a pattern has been activated. Tension in the chest, breath becoming shorter, jaws clenching. These physical signs appear before conscious cognition. Developing the ability to recognize them as they happen creates a warning signal that can activate choice before the automatic reaction has already occurred. Practice 2. The minimum pause. Viktor Frankl described the space between stimulus and response as the place of freedom. Practically, this space can be seconds, but seconds are enough to change what happens next. Deliberate breathing, an explicit pause before responding. Let me think for a moment. Anything that creates minimal space between what happened and what you do next. Practice 3. Anchoring in intention. Before situations you know are difficult, the conversation with the parent that always activates the old pattern, the meeting with the boss that generates anxiety, the conflict with the partner that tends to escalate. Have a clear intention about how you want to be in that situation. Not a detailed plan, an anchor. I want to be present. I want to listen before defending. I want to not escalate. The anchor does not guarantee that you will succeed, but it significantly increases the probability. What if the old pattern is consistently faster than the intention? Which of the 3 practices could create space in that specific situation? There is often confusion between urgency and anxiety, which are very different experiences with very different effects on the quality of action. Urgency. The ability to act decisively, with speed, when the situation requires it. It is functional, mobilizes resources to respond effectively. Anxiety. The activation of the threat system in a situation that is not objectively threatening, or the amplification of the threat response beyond what the situation requires. It reduces the quality of thought and action. Most people who describe difficulty acting in real time are actually describing anxiety, not a lack of urgency. The problem is not that they can't act quickly. It's that the threat system is active in a way that interferes with the quality of action. Reducing anxiety is not about reducing urgency. It's about regaining access to clear thinking while acting with the speed that the situation requires. The other extreme of anxiety is paralysis, the inability to act because the weight of possibilities and consequences is too great. Often, paralysis and anxiety coexist. Anxiety about what could go wrong, paralysis in the face of the need to decide. Presence without paralysis is the ability to be fully in the moment, with all the uncertainty that the moment contains, and to act nonetheless. Not with certainty, with enough clarity about the direction to take the next step, even if only the next one. The next step, not the complete plan, not the guarantee that it will go well. Just the next step, with everything you know now, with the resources you have now, in the direction you chose. Future perfection is not a good enough reason not to act now. The imperfect next step is always more valuable than waiting for the perfect action. Acting in real time with intention is a gradual process, just like everything else we've explored in this series. There is no moment when the automatic pattern completely disappears. But there is a point where you have enough awareness of what is happening and enough practice in alternative responses so that the space between stimulus and response is real, even if small. You don't need to have everything figured out to act well now. You need enough awareness for the next step to be a little more yours than the previous one. That is visible choice. How to act in real time, with urgency, but without anxiety, with presence, but without paralysis. Next time, the episode that no one wants to hear, but everyone needs. When choosing according to who you are has a real cost. Professional, relational, financial. What to do when the price of authenticity is visible and concrete. Visible choice. Season 1. The choice that this episode examines is not simple to name, because it was made before you were aware that you were making a choice. It became a habit. It became an identity. It became the way things are. And the first step to choosing differently is to see what was being chosen and why. Visible choice was built to make visible what is always present but rarely examined. That most of what we call choices are better presented reflections. What was taught, what was inherited, what was modeled by specific environments. All of this operates in decisions that seem most personal and most free. There is a difference between deciding and choosing. Deciding is what we do when we process information and reach a conclusion. Choosing is what we do when we have real awareness of the alternatives, including the alternative of not doing what we've always done. This series works precisely on that difference. What has been learned about how to make choices can be examined. What can be examined can be questioned. And what can be questioned can, with time and honest work, be replaced by something that is genuinely yours, and not just the echo of what was taught before you had a voice about what to learn. Take away from this conversation not a 10-step method, but a question that continues to work after this episode ends. Is this choice the one this episode named mine? Or is it what I learned I should choose? The difference between the two is not in the outcome. It is in the awareness with which the outcome was achieved. The choice that this episode examines is not simple to name, because it was made before you were aware that you were making a choice. It became a habit. It became an identity. It became the way things are. And the first step to choosing differently is to see what was being chosen and why.